We are doing a book versus movie comparison of the Stephen King's story, The Life of Chuck, and its film adaptation that was directed by Mike Flanagan. I'm going to share the surprising twist that make the movie shine, what's changed, why you love it, and share my thoughts on what was better, the book or the movie. Now, first things first, I have to tell you, this stays fiercely loyal to Stephen King's story that can be found in his collection If It Bleeds. And the bits where the movie rewrote some moments did so with perfection because it made me feel the story on a deeper level. It added nuance, it added layers, it added texture, it added all the feels to make the movie right. And like I said, it stayed true to the blueprint. So at the core of both the story and the movie, it unfolds backwards in 3 acts. We have the world collapsing, we have a great dancing moment with Chuck in his prime, and we also see his haunted childhood. And the movie even borrows entire chunks of dialogue from the story, word for word, written from the book. And these moments, I felt, landed perfectly because it landed exactly as Stephen King wrote them. So if you love the story's pacing and the emotional beats, you will recognize them frame by frame in the movie. But here's the thing, it's not just a repetition of what's in the story, even though, like I mentioned, it's a faithful adaptation, but we get lots of textures and layers because in the book, Chuck's death is paralleled by the apocalyptic fade out of the universe. And while we do get this with the movie as well, again, we have extra layers that were added. So one extra layer is, for example, the empty hospital and where you have every room with every bed snapping its monitor to life and it's beeping. And what is happening is that this is timed to Chuck's heartbeat. This in itself is an amazing but also hair-raising reminder that the world's fate is inextricably tied to Chuck's own life force. And I feel it really adds to the mystery in a way that the story didn't. We also get lots of new monologues in the film that we didn't get in the book. One of those monologues is with our main character's grandfather, Grandpa Albie. So this is where he gave the speech on math and destiny and just how it affects life and how important it is. That in itself was also a powerful monologue. The Undertaker that we met in Act 3, who also appears in Act 1, and when we see him talking to a young Chuck, him as a minor character really got a monologue and more of a voice too, because I really appreciated when he shared the story of weather in Act 3, but also sharing again about him wanting to be a weatherman in Act 1 and how it related to mortality and how Grandpa Albie came in and he had the same look like the weatherman, like he knew what was happening, he was very sure. Again, that musing on weather and mortality really deepened our sense of the ripple effects of Chuck's life. Now, here's the thing. These speeches and monologues, while it doesn't change the core of the story, it enriches the world around Chuck. And I think by making the world around Chuck more vivid, it makes his life feel even more lived in and more realized and alive as well. Now, a huge difference that I noticed in the film that I really appreciated is that more women and their stories are centered in the film. Because here's the thing, in the original short story, it was largely filtered through Marty's eyes. However, Flanagan shifts the lens in the film. So we see Felicia's hospital scenes getting more screen time. We see her co-worker showing up more too. I love that Chuck's dance partner as well, along with the musician on the drums. That was great. When Chuck was passing away, we had his wife at his bedside. Because in the story, we have this brother-in-law who we don't really know. So I really appreciated seeing the wife at his side. I also love seeing his grandmother as well, having more of a role. Because there's this moment with the little sister thing, which we'll talk about. Having it be more familial and putting his grandmother in that space, I love seeing that as well. And I feel that by doing that, he is really reminding us again, Chuck's universe, his multiverse, that extends even wider. And in this case, beyond just the men in his life, but also the women too. And we have to come back to Grandpa Albie as well, because here's the thing. He gets some new moments too. Seeing when Chuck went upstairs to open the room, and then he rushes up there and shoves him down in a bid to protect him, and then he witnesses his own ghost. We also see him break down with regret. I felt like this was just a beautiful moment. This scene deepens Chuck's bond with his grandfather, and again underscores the novel's theme of facing the inevitability, facing our mortality, facing our end. Because see, the thing is, Chuck, even though Granddad pushed him away, he got bits of it as well. And then the grandfather was faced with his own mortality. And it just really tightened their bond in a way the story didn't. And again, I just appreciated it. Now, another detail that completely omits but kind of rewrites in a way is that in the story, Chuck called his dance partner Little Sister because he once danced with the sister of one of his bandmates. However, in the movie, the nickname instead comes from his grandmother. Because there's this scene where the grandmother, extends her arms out to him and says, "Come on, little brother," kind of thing. It's a cute gesture. And here's the thing, it's a small change, but I appreciated it because it shifts the moment from, something between children to instead something more nostalgic. And it was made into a family affair. So seeing that moment, that universal passing of joy, then seeing him do that with a young woman who had just experienced heartbreak, she's feeling in the dumps, and pulls her in. Again, that was beautiful to see. Now, let's get to the big question. Did the story do better than the movie? Now, here's the thing. I just gave you some similarities and differences in mine. And again, you might be wondering, and I have to say, they are two sides of the same coin. If you want the pure, intimate puzzle that Stephen King delivers, and again, this story is around 60 pages-ish, you can start with the story. However, if you want those extra chills, if you want the extra monologues, if you want the expanded viewpoints, then you should dive into the film. Either way, I think you should watch both. Watch the film, read the story, but I also feel you're gonna have to re-watch that film as well and maybe reread the story, because after this, I think I'm gonna have to reread it yet again. And just in case you haven't seen my review where I really get into detail about the film, share some Easter eggs, share some meaning behind things you might have missed, I'll include a link up here in the cards and a link in the video's description for you to check it out. But I will say definitively, I think this is a rare instance where the movie did better than the story. And my reasoning behind this is that they are both good, but the movie facilitates more connections between the stories, expanded the characters, expanded the themes, and it just really expanded the way how an ordinary person's life can have ripple effects. I loved how it built out more female characters. I appreciate the additional and longer monologues. I appreciated characters having more significance. And again, additional layers, additional nuances, additional texture. It just added more, but in a positive way. Because sometimes when we get adaptations, they add too much or they don't add enough and it doesn't translate. But I think the movie did an amazing job. So if you haven't already, check out my full review video, but be sure to like this video, share this video, tell a friend to tell a friend about the channel, but also subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know about book adaptation news, but also what's new when I go live and when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.